Again?
All right, man. Take two. Brand new computer. Moved downstairs. Glad you guys can see the messy bed in my background. Dave, we're getting ready to talk about Shai and his 3-point shooting percentage.
For sure.
So let's just do a really quick synopsis of where I was getting to before we lost our connection there. Over the month of December, he shot 26% from deep. Okay, yeah. But there was a stretch where over 20 days from the 6th of December until the 26th, which was 9 games, I believe, or maybe a little bit less, but in that range, right? He shot 14% from three, all the way up to the 26th. Now, on the 26th, which is the last 5 games, he's shot 55% from deep. Now, what nobody really wants to talk about right now with the Thunder is what happens if Shai's 3-point shot is good. How do you stop this team? Because even if you go back to think about FIBA, Canada, what we saw with Shai was teams figured out how to stop him, even though they could only really slow him down, but they figured it out. They figured out how to put him to his limit. And when he got going, he still wanted to get to the hole. And when they took that away from him, it became very frustrating because you can get away with that level in FIBA, a little bit more cheating. But in the NBA, he's been able to continue to put up 30-plus points a game without a 3-point shot. And we used to talk about this last year about comparing him to Michael Jordan in that way or Kobe in that way. 30-plus points any given night without hitting a 3. But what happens, Dave, if he becomes what he was his third year or his second year, I think? He shot 40% from deep for the Thunder. We saw a really incredible season. He shot about 5 attempts a game. He shot 40%. The next year, his attempts went up, but his percentage went down. And then the next year, he cut his attempts in half. But what if he gets to that 40% 3-point shooter, Dave? Does this team shift into becoming the title favorites?
Well, let's just break this down for a quick moment here in the psychology of guarding Shai and how teams are guarding Shai. Because in order to understand how they would have to guard him in the future, you have to know how they're guarding him now. At this moment, they have a lot of guys that are very quick-footed that are guarding Shai, that aren't necessarily good, that have long arms, that can get up on his jump shot very well, but have good quick footwork that can get in front of him and stay in front of him. Mm-hmm. What this 3-point shot recently has been doing is it's made so that they cannot put certain guys on him, right? Which is making him more effective with driving, right? And as his 3-point shot gets good, teams will start putting different guys on him, allowing him to drive more often. And that will just be what's going to happen because you're going to have to give him one or the other. You're going to give him 2-point bucket versus a 3-point bucket. And 40% is good enough where every other one he's going to hit almost. So that's just to me like where I'm looking at it. Like you have to sit back and you have to say, as far as 30 points a game right now, 31 points a game is what Shai's averaging. What do I see him adding? I think that by the end of the year, he could be averaging 33 if he continues shooting this shot. 33 for the entire season. So, that's a huge increase to what he's already been doing in the first 30 games of the year. So, but we have 52 games left. So it's a matter of understanding what he's been able to get to and what he's going to be able to do.
I think looking at the last 5 games and saying, can he continue this trend of improved shooting? And then you have to look at his mechanics and say, like, where are they compared to previous years? That year he shot 40%. Mostly he was shooting catch and shoot threes because we had really good other players on the team. But here we are, and we're looking at it, and we're like wondering, does he have the mechanics right now to lift that shot up? Because now his shot is coming off the dribble a lot more. Teams are sagging off of him when he puts the ball on the floor. So if he puts the ball on the floor and then goes into that step back, it's wide open. And now he's hunting that. And early in the season, he wasn't really hunting it. He would shoot it a little bit reluctantly when teams were just leaving him. But now he's actually looking for it. The coaching staff likes that. That they've been trying to encourage him to keep shooting that ball. And it hasn't been easy because it's an uphill battle for him to recognize he could get to the hole, but the team will be better off if he continues to stretch the court from deep. So I'm absolutely sure nobody's going to be talking about, well, Shai's 3-point shot is looking much better because he just came off of a really bad month. But when you look at the last 5 and you think if he continues to shoot 4 or 5 a game, and he's shooting them in the right spots, especially down the stretch. And he has to get a couple of shots up, a couple of 3-pointers up to calibrate it so that down the stretch he feels confident in that shot.
Sure.
So this is an evolution of his game that I know the coaching staff has been looking for a while. And up to this point, we really hadn't seen him make progress. And we're looking at it and we're saying, this maybe is just a really tiny, small bit of progress. This maybe isn't a big enough trend to get too excited about, but I do think it's an overall improvement. And I think that as we watch this season go on, if he continues to shoot that shot, and even if he goes through some slumps, he doesn't just shy away from it. He continues to aggressively hunt it. Then we're going to find a better team. And I'm serious when I say this, like the term contender, people are kind of throwing it around right now with the Thunder and taking it a little bit lightly. But if you add a new weapon like that to a team as good as we already are, then teams will be scrambling for new ways to defend him deep in the season and into the playoffs, because all the conventional wisdom about how to stop Shai and how to stop the Thunder predicates on letting him shoot that 3.
Well, let's just go down this list real quickly, man. I want to spend some minutes and take some time to highlight some of the shooting that's going on around these guys, because to me, Chip England is all over this. All right. Let's start with Lou Dort. All right, let's go with the starting group right here. Last 10 games, he is shooting 46.9% from 3-point range.
Damn.
Josh Giddey, the last 10 games, he's shooting 44.8% from 3-point range.
Damn.
Chet Holmgren, he's shooting 47.8% from 3-point range, 10 games. And J-Dub, let's just be honest, he's being a man out there, shooting 55.9% from 3-point range in the last 10 games. Shai's shooting 35% from 3-point range in the last 10 games, but I promise you, in the last 5 of those 10 games, he's shooting way better than he was the first 5.
55% right now.
Yeah, so right there, you're looking at it, guys. I want us to think about this. We have all of our starters minus one of them are shooting 45+% from the 3-point line. 45+% from 3-point line in the last 10 games. You add Shai into that mix right there. I mean, like, what are people going to do to stop us? How are people going to be able to stop us? If Shai's shooting that 45% from 3-point range, they're not. They're just not. I mean, we saw Celtics struggle. Last night, we struggled in the first quarter, and we got beat because we didn't play well in the first quarter, played semi-well in the second quarter, played okay in the third quarter, and then came ready in the fourth quarter. You can't win the NBA games against a decent team like that. I'm sorry. Like, we didn't get into Atlanta until like 4:15 in the morning. That has everything to do with the way that we came out there to play. So I just go back to that. I cannot get upset with these guys. I cannot get upset with a game like that last night. We're seeing so much improvement from the guys. We shot 50-something% from 3-point range last night. Like, there's so much that is just positive that went on. I look at this team and I see that we're clicking in the ways that we need to be clicking in early January. Yes, we got beat, but we put up 138 points. That's everything we need as far as points go. Our defense suffered. But when a team shoots as well as Atlanta and as many threes as they did, and on top of that, they hit 31 free throws, guys. I had to think about that for a second. 31 free throws. We hit 20. They hit 11 more free throws than we did, and we missed 6 free throws. That's what lost us the game. We can talk about anything else, but free throws lost us the game. We weren't focused. Shai missed 3. J-Dub missed 2. And we just weren't focused when it came to free throws. And again, that's going to come, and we'll be all right. And that's why, to me, like, these are small things. These aren't massive things that we lost the game because of. They're easily adjustable.
And with all that, we still had a great play drawn up where Giddey, I think he hit Dub, who was cut into the basket. We're down by 3 with 2.5 seconds on the clock or something like that. The ball swings to a corner Isaiah Joe. Catch and shoot. Halfway down, and if that thing goes in, we go to overtime. We have the momentum. If we find a way to steal the win, like, literally, we're talking about how great everything is.
Yeah.
But instead, it's like we're kind of like a little bummed because we fell into a trap game. You know, they call these types of games scheduling losses, scheduled loss. You know what I mean? You play at home, you jump on the flight, you arrive in the next city at 3 a.m., and from there, dude, we just came out flat. Like, this shit happens. So you look at the teams that we've lost to over the last few games. The games that we've lost. Like, you're talking about the Kings, talking about the Lakers. Now we're talking about the Hawks. And those are like our 3 losses. Like, I don't know that I'm missing one. Tell me if I am.
But we lost the Rockets in there as well, but that's the only one we're missing.
All right. And you look at it though, like,
but
what are the commonalities?
Rockets and Houston, or Houston and Atlanta. They're very similar in the aspect of young, talented guys. They don't have a problem of spreading the floor out. They have a big man inside that rebounds and offensive rebounds. Like, they're similar teams in that aspect. Yes, people are like, oh, they're not really similar. But listen, and you get to the nitty gritty of it, where the teams that we struggle with are those Houstons, right? Are those the Hawks? It's going to be teams like that can spread the floor and shoot the ball, because everybody struggles with them.
Right, when they're on. And if you're tired, if you lack assertiveness in your defense and getting involved early, like, that's going to catch up with you. Yep. You're going to have to pay.
I don't think that Shea is going to allow this to go down again. I think that he's going to do a better job planning on if it's 4:00 and we're not getting in, we need to do more to be ready for this game. Because, like, let's be honest, that first quarter, man, that was hard to watch. Like, they started off, we had 0 points, they had 9, like, and it was just like that all first quarter. Like, we got going a little bit, and then just took off, and it was just, that's where I feel like we lost the game. We didn't set like in the past, we've set the standard, we've set what we're going to do, how we're going to play, and the teams had to react to us. Last night, the Hawks were setting the standard.
And we never really caught up until the last 2.5 minutes of the fourth quarter. We started putting our foot on their throat a little bit, but we ran out of time. Like, that's it. And you were saying, like, earlier, the Celtics basically just did the same thing to us.
Yeah, we get taught a lesson. Celtics taught us a lesson of protecting your nuts.
Right. Then we go into Atlanta, and we're like, why can't we steal this game? Now, we were down, 15 with 2.5 minutes left or something like that?
3.5, 2.5, something like that, yeah.
It was insane. I mean,
there was
no point in that fourth quarter where it felt like this was our game, but we almost stole it.
It just shows you, we've said this for a long time, is that no lead is safe with this team the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
A team could be up by 20 in the last 5 minutes of the game, and this team, and it goes back to the years that we were in the shits, and it's a 7-point game, and there's a minute and a half left, and coach has the starters out, and Isaiah Roby out there, and we're all, hustling and pressing, and it's setting the standard. When people in Oklahoma City was the podcast in Oklahoma City and the media were saying the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to tank. Like, this is what they need to do. They need to tank. Like, we're there saying no tanking. No, that brings a mindset. Look at the Pistons. I mean, look at all the Wolves. Like, look at all these teams that tanked to get good players, and it just never got out of it. But instead, we would lose games, but we would be down 7 with a minute and a half. Instead of losing by 10 or 12, we lose by 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just be like, Coach D matters. Like, he cares about these games. He's teaching the kids how to win. And even though we aren't winning, he's teaching them how to win.
Right.
And now you fast forward to 2 years. Now you're like, oh shit! All these lessons that he was teaching these guys to Shea, last year to J-Dub and Josh Giddey, and all these lessons that he was teaching them. Right. It's starting to come to fruition exactly what he's doing. Right. Because now these guys in the last 3 minutes, they believe in themselves. They're like, dude, 12 points, that's nothing. We can catch that back. That's nothing. We'll get the last shot, and when it matters, we got this.
So, is it that the other teams go into this like they're playing the stall game, and we're playing like we know how to handle that, and we put the pressure on when they try to pull it out? Is that sort of what's happening, or is it that we're switching a gear ourselves? What changes in the last 5 minutes?
It's the gear. Like, we always talk about when Shea has found that next gear, that third or fourth gear, and being able to have that third or fourth gear in the playoffs is crucial. You get to a second gear and everybody shuts down that second gear. They figure out what your moves on that second gear is, right? So you got to find out the next and further and further. That's what I look at with Shea right now and J-Dub and Chet and all these guys is that they're finding out what that next gear is right now. Like, oh, if we do this, then bam, that's the result. Like, and it's, to me, like, it's the experimental stage. Everybody loves the experimental stage. Doesn't matter what type of experimental stage it was, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. That's what these guys are in right now. They're like, oh, if I turn on my motor here, what happens? Oh, if I do this, what happens? Oh, what if it happens like this? We saw J-Dub go on this like amazing like 5-minute spurt, But what happens when he's able to do that for 25 minutes in the game, 30 minutes a game? Like, to me, like, that's what we're trying to figure out is the consistency. And sometimes the consistency is there throughout the game, and sometimes it takes into the last 5 minutes to get there. But when it's clicking, and that's when you know that team's really good. And say what you want to say. It wasn't like the Hawks weren't making plays at the end of the last 5 minutes of the game. They were making some enormous plays. They were making some incredible plays, but we were doing it better. Like we were just doing it better.
So you think it's Chip England then, huh? You think that's why we're seeing this improvement on the 3-point shooting? It's been a year and a half now.
Dude, think about it. What was our easiest month in this entire season?
It was December.
Okay. And then the last 10 games, our guys are shooting our starters are shooting, 45+% from 3-point range. That is it's direct correlation. When you have the easiest, and you get tons of practices and you get in the gym a lot, you get Coach England helping you out, man, it's the exact reason why these guys are shooting so well right now.
Do you think for Shea, if he can add that 3-point shot, what do you think that does to his ability to close games for us? Because he's already one of the best closers in the league.
If he adds that 3-point shot, right, and he gets that confidence of the shot, there will be not a single person that will be talking about Luka being a better offensive player.
Really?
Just think about that. All right, there'll be no NBA expert that will be saying Luka is a better offensive player than Shea if Shea adds that shot. And the reason is because, like, you look at what Luka is able to do, right? And you're looking at his offense and like, who's a better penetrator to the hole, Luka or Shea?
Shea.
And it's not close. Who's a better defender? Shea.
Luka's a better passer.
Who's the better, more athletic? Who's the better? I would say Luka's the better passer, right? But then all of a sudden you add Shea, and the only two things that Luka has on him would be shooting the 3-point shot and his passing. I mean, that's it. And then you let Shea all of a sudden get his 3-point shot up, and then everybody would be like, "Nah, I'm sorry, Luka isn't any longer the best offensive guard in the league." Like, people are already saying that Shea is the best all-around guard in the league. Okay, so if people are saying he's the best all-around guard and he just needs to improve his 3-point shot to become literally the best offensive guard in the league, I mean, that's it. I mean, that is it. Like, Luka can keep his incredible, insane passing. I'll take Shea's, finishing abilities and the way that he can do stuff, and especially when he adds that 3-point shot. He's the best guard in the league, and there won't even be close to who's second.
How long till you'll start saying, okay, it's here to stay? 25 games?
You mean like his now, shot. Like his shot?
Yeah.
I think I want to go back to his last season, the year before, because to me, when Shea gets going in his season, shooting the rock rate,
yeah,
he doesn't stop. So March last year, he did nice step backs and win, ice games, all that other stuff. Happened in February too. Yeah. So January is really where his 3-point shot came into context. So, I got to say this is that if he's shooting 45, 55% from 3-point range for the next 3 or 4 games, there's going to be no doubt that shot's staying because he's figured it out.
All right. So sometime by mid-January.
I mean, I think his shot is, the way the mechanics of a shot, his step back that is able to go with a shot, I think that everything is working together.
Right.
But there's something that's different between a confidence and a shooter. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And a shooter with no confidence. And I think there's a fine line between what Shea is experienced right now and, we've all been there, whether it's a shooting or a slump or missing the shit out of free throws, right? But more in context, though, right? Like, let's just put more. Like, Shea, right, has shot 14% for 10 games or 7 games in a row there, right? And yet in the December where we went 10-3, it didn't matter. And the reality of that is powerful, because I mean, this team is primed. This team has every piece set to go. And when people are like, "Oh, we need to add this piece. We need to add this piece." Like, I respectfully, I look at you and say, I get it. I get that our interior rebounding sometimes is sucky. I get that this is, sucky sometimes, but we're not talking about adding a superstar at throwing 4 first-rounders out there. I sent Mark a piece of information today about the Phoenix Suns and how many teams are going to be trying to trade away money next year, because they won't be able to sign anybody in free agency. They won't be able to do this. They'll have G League guys filling out their bench. You could have 3 superstars on that team in the Phoenix Suns, but you're going to have, a really bad situation after that. And
so it was like $200 million committed to those 3 players.
Yeah. And it's insane, bro. Like, you cannot, like, and I understand that there's going to be a time that Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be paying that much money, right? And that's fine. But that's going to be 7 years down the road when the reaction of this, which is going to happen, and I promise, let me just spell this out. The money is going to cause an issue. When everybody's like, shit, we got to spread trade this money, whatever, right? They'll take 2 picks for a superstar. And they'll be like, fuck yes. First round picks, hell yeah, 2. Right now, you couldn't get a superstar for 4 or 5 picks. That's how much of a difference it's going to make year 1. I can't even tell you how much of a difference it's going to make year 2. And everybody's going to be sitting there saying, I wish we hadn't traded our picks. Now, when the value has quadrupled for those picks and Sam Presti's sitting on everybody's picks, man, it's over. Like, people will be like, we'll give you whatever you want. We need another pick this year. What do you want?
So you were telling me that you've seen this happen in other sports too.
Yeah, NFL.
Explain more.
All right, so you think about the NFL, and you think about there's been different blocks of time where
American football for all of our Australian fans.
Yeah. Thank you. So there's been block of times where there's been teams that have drafted. I think about the Dallas Cowboys. All right, in the draft, there was a legendary draft of theirs. They picked up Emmitt Smith, and pretty much their entire reason why they won all those championships in one draft.
You got a bunch of
picks. It changed how teams started trading their first round draft picks, because if they were like, shit, if we're able to get these guys in the first round that can make that much of an influence on our team right away, we want that. Now you cannot, I'm telling you guys, go look at the NFL, see what type of trades are for first round draft picks. You'll be shocked. You'll be like, holy shit, like, why? Well, it's because the value of the first round is so much more higher. Second round and third round and all that other stuff, they're still very valuable. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they own all these first and second round picks. And it's insane how much they own, 35 of them. And when everybody is done trading all their picks, and people are like, I'm not trading my picks, and people are like, well, I want picks back. I've got all these players. I want picks. They're not going to get picks, meaning that the value of the picks have come way up and skyrocketed. And at that point, then all of a sudden, in 7 years, the commissioner is going to be like, man, we've made the picks so valuable, right, that these vets aren't getting all the money anymore. Right? They're not getting these max amount of money. They're not doing all this other stuff. Like, the vets are being less valuable now, right? So he's going to do the complete opposite, or he's going to go the other way. And guess what? That's when we can be spending all the money in the world that we want, because that's the flip around. That's what happens when you have, all this other stuff that's going around. And I think that
so
the Thunder
kind of like
really good position.
The new CBA would basically be designed to decrease the value of the picks by letting teams increase their spending without
that's what happens.
Tax penalties.
Yeah, when you make the dollar, right, like, constricted, right, it takes the picks and makes them double, triple, quadruple the value.
Yeah,
you constrict that. You constrict the money and makes them more valuable. You open the money up, right, like it is now, and they become less valuable. Like, how do you
Right.
think Sam Presti's been able to score all this? Is because guys they can go out and spend $200 million on the thing and be like, well, it's like $70 million it's going to cost me, or $150 million. It's nothing. Like, it's just money. Like, these guys are such rich billionaires, it doesn't matter. Well, now the commission wants to make them pay, wants to make it worth it, wants to make them be like, no, this is going to hurt your team. This is not going to hurt your dollar line. This is going to hurt your team by doing this, spending money like this. Basically making it so that these huge contracts are difficult to get rid of, and people will get rid of them for a soul.
Yeah.
A song. A soul. I mean, sure. I mean, they'd probably get rid of it for a soul.
So, like, the last time they made a decision like that, this is getting into the later rounds, but then they had to come back and do an amnesty clause because teams really fucked themselves. Remember that?
That was
that was weird. It was like so many teams got into such bad deals because of the money. They're like, well, we'll give you a one-time only chance. I think we used ours on Kyle Singler or something like that.
We're still paying him. I mean, I think we just got done paying him like $900,000 a year.
Shout out Kyle.
He was like, it was if you ever looked at the end of the year, they always put out that how much the Thunder has spent and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can always scroll down, and deferred money is something that's always there. And Kyle Singler is always at like 980,000, 990,000 or whatever. I'm like, just seeing him there made me laugh, bro. Like, I still can't believe that trade, you know?
Dude, like, listen, I can't believe it.
That has got to be the biggest change in Sam Presti.
Yeah.
Is searching for trades instead of sitting out and being the person people come to saying, we'll dump this person for a first rounder. Bringing that person in and saying, they don't work, I'll cut them. Boom. Save money. Or somebody like Bertans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bringing him in. This guy can help our team when we're in droughts and stuff like that. Boom. You know? I think it's brilliant. I think that by doing that and being that person that he is, like, he's added assets instead of taking away. Because if you're searching and hunting for somebody, you're willing to pay more money. And Sam's sitting there being like, I'm willing to give you this, but I want Kendrick Williams. You know, I want Isaiah Joe, but Isaiah Joe came through free agency. But
opportunistic versus out there trying to find something.
That's it. And that's why you look at these trades that people are talking about, and I'm like, Lauri Markkanen, like, I listen, I see it. I love Lauri. I think you'd be perfect on this team. But I cannot, for the life of me, understand why Sam Presti would give up 4 first-rounders halfway through the year for somebody that we have no idea if he's going to work chemistry with these guys.
Will anybody be willing to, you think?
Listen, I think there's going to be a desperate team. I think there'll be a desperate team.
Always a desperate team. But
I think there's a team
with assets?
Well, think about it. Like, if I would want to know if I could run Cade Cunningham with a good player.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I don't think they were done with Cade.
No, I want to know if Cade Cunningham...
you can play him with a good player.
With a big-time player.
Ooh, okay.
So I want to, because you're about to pay him out the ass. So you need to know, and it's worth a couple first round. And they've got the 3 or 4 first rounders that are not theirs that they could trade that are kind of iffy first rounders.
Okay.
But like that's the type of team that I see going for him. And otherwise, he's off the market because no one's going to step up to that. Are you seriously saying that any of the teams that have all those draft picks are going to go out and get him? Maybe.
Well, that's the thing. Like, one of the teams that's accumulating is the Jazz, so they're out of it.
Yeah, they're out of the picture. Then who do you have? You have nope. I mean, after that, you could say maybe. I guess if you were willing to trade Steven Adams, maybe you could throw in, a sexy package to get Lauri Markkanen from the Jazz and throw him over to Memphis. But I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, I think Angie waited too long. I think he had a couple of 3 first-round draft picks, and now he's going to have to wait into the offseason and probably get I mean, who knows? Danny Ainge has surprised me a few times before where, like he's able to get something out of nothing,
I was
and
surprised how much he got for Gobert, but then I was surprised how little he got for Mitchell. I felt like he could have got more for Mitchell.
No, bro, he got a ton for Mitchell.
You got a ton for Mitchell?
Oh, yeah, bro.
He didn't get as much as he got for Gobert, though.
3 or 4 first rounders.
Oh, really?
Then he got Clarkson, which he's going to get a couple first for him.
Right.
There's a couple other guys I know our chat will throw in there and say, but like he was able to get enough in return that he can actually turn Clarkson for first or 2, and the next thing you know is he'll be able to make the same amount. Especially Lauri Markkanen was the part that he got in from Cleveland as well, So you throw Lauri Markkanen in there, and like then you got a team that's
something.
Then you got the same situation that you're going to look back in the past. I'm serious, guys. Is if they trade Lauri Markkanen for 4 picks, that means that Donovan Mitchell brought in 8 picks.
Yeah,
and they say they trade, let's say, Jordan Clarkson for a couple picks, right? Whatever it is. Now you got 10 picks for him. Like that's the thing is like that's the same type of thing. So right now, like for me, like do I see him trying to maximize Lauri Markkanen? Yes, but I also see that he's very intelligent in recognizing that next year he's worth 2 picks because it's his final year in the contract and he's going to get a huge contract. So if a team is out there offering him 3 or 2 and a good asset, you've got to at least look at that. And there's a few teams that would do that, but not many.
Man, I appreciate Milani, Darian joining us, man. You guys are the best. Thunder family,
guys,
man.
Sit on the picks. That's it. Sit on the picks because those picks, when it comes to draft day, will be worth a lot of money. And we don't need to be out there handing them out to somebody that we have no idea if he will fit in this team or not. And that's just being honest. I would rather us go get a player that's a veteran that is going to take and spend 10 minutes a game tops playing. I would rather go do that. Give me a rebounder. Do it like that. Give me some guy that is strictly there for defense and rebound. If that's what you guys are so concerned about, then I'm okay with that. But other than that, I don't think there's any reason for this team to jump and start jumping off cliffs.
The only name I'd say that, and I hate doing this, but I really like Daniel Gafford.
Yeah, Gafford's good, bro.
I wish we could find a way to get him for like almost nothing. Like, I know the Wizards are in a spot where they would like to just kind of like rebuild. So, say you got like a bad first rounder and 2 second rounders for Gafford. He really could help us just because he seems like a great locker room presence. He does all the little things right. And when you think about him, you're not like, oh, he's going to come in and like it'll be like this like imposing guy that changes anything. He'll play within what we do and just give coach another player he can trust because he's very good. Scotty Brooks coached him, and I really appreciated what Scotty said about him. I really believed him. And so like there are some players out there that's kind of like, oh, maybe we could have that guy. But this comes back to what you're saying about Presti, which is letting the things come to him. Because if the right player with the right skill set that can help boost Coach D's rotations is available, we're going to add him. And we're not going to look at it like we're afraid. Presti said for a while, like, you don't rush this process, right?
No, you don't.
And you got to let these players develop. And then there is a point, though, in which you look to add a new piece or two. You add a couple of guys.
Sure.
But let me ask you, though, like, are we at that point? Like,
listen,
I know that, like, you don't want to, which is a different question. But do you think, like, in general, like, we're approaching that point rapidly?
Yes, but what exactly we need, that's the one question that I have. Because, like, I still think that we can have our cake and eat it with the situation. So for us to jump in and, without testing the water yet is kind of crazy. I think behind the scenes, I think Sam Presti is back there being like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And for me to say every piece has to line up perfectly. It has to be the right player, the right money, everything else like that. And are you going to get that during the season? I don't think so, because everybody wants to improve that during the season. And during the off year, you get more patience, you get more time, you get time to talk to people, and if they're going to fit and have them around the guys. And, like, there's so much more during the off season that you can do to vet a person versus now, and that's where I want to bring it back to, is that Sam Presti is in that idea of vetting kids in young men before he allows them on the team. He's very protective like that.
Right.
And that's where you don't have time to do that. And that's why if you look back in the history of the game and Sam Presti doing his thing, very few times has Sam Presti, made a trade during the year.
But he did say there is a point in which you do, infuse the team with additional talent and with additional pieces, but you allow the team to kind of present what they need. And he used an example.
Can you tell me exactly what that is?
Well, at this moment, no, but he uses as an example how when we faced the Lakers in the playoffs and we got eliminated, Pau Gasol tip in game 6, we needed an enforcer. So he went and got KP. Yeah. So that's where I'm like looking at it. I'm like, maybe there's a way to creatively, without interfering in the locker room present situation, add a player in advance.
Yeah.
Versus waiting until the team finds themselves in a spot where they're getting eliminated because of the lack of that player. Maybe this team has sort of surprised him with how fast they've proven to be ready. And then wouldn't it be kind of on him, if he's going to be the type of GM that he says he is, to find a way to give some reinforcements to the squad? Like, just from a veteran presence, just from we mentioned rebounding a lot, just from a knockdown open threes. Like, what if Mike Muscala became available again for like a second round pick? Like, if you added him back.
I'm sorry. I like Mike Muscala. I'd love to have him back on this team. But like, if we're going to add anybody, it has to be that defensive enforcer. It has to be a rebounder, because that's the biggest need that this team needs at this moment. And I don't think that I even know what this team needs, honestly. And that's the biggest thing that I keep going back to. And let's just be honest. The defensive enforcers that are big men, that are centers, right? They're fucking weird. They're fucking an odd group of people. And that is the biggest problem I have of adding weird ass people to a locker room that we have nothing, to add to that we need. And who are we going to give up? Who are we going to give up? Trey Mann? No, man. We got to keep Trey Mann, man. Keep the man in the locker room. That dude is next level on that bench.
You know what? Like, we probably can't get him though. But Jalen Duran from the Pistons. Like, he's a young enforcer.
Dude, Jared Allen
from
he plays for Cleveland. Yeah, but he played for Brooklyn before. Yeah, he's a rebounding fucking machine. He doesn't ask. He gets alley oops up in the step up positions like a madman.
Yeah.
He plays great defense. Like to me, like, we need somebody like that. But that this goes back to, remember when we wanted the enforcer? Who was the first person we were about to get? Tyson Chandler. We almost got Tyson Chandler, but he didn't pass the physical.
Yeah.
And I go back to that moment because Tyson Chandler would have been the perfect running mate with KD and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, you look at these guys.
Continue to play really productively too.
Yeah. And you look at these guys and you can draw lines to all of them and saying what they need to have a center. If they're going to put a center on this team, how is it going to slow down our offense? Is it going to slow down our offense any? Are they just going to let the center stand out there on the 3-point line and do nothing? Well, how long is it going to take Chip England to teach him how to shoot a 3-point shot? Like, these are the things that we need to know.
If you put him into a low pressure situation, if you're bringing in a starter, that's a problem. Like, you got to be careful. But if you bring him in and you're like, okay, you're going to get like 12 to 15 minutes off the bench, and as coach earns trust in you and the players like playing with you, then there will be rotations in which you play, 25, 30 minutes a night based on the matchups and stuff like that. Like, and that matchup might be something like, we're playing the Sixers, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or like, we need that extra size and that girth, as we like to say. But like in the end, what I think is, and this is what we keep saying, right? But we're at a spot where we're not really looking to add that, but we do know that there's that moment. And we know that that moment is sometime between now and the start of next season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's about where we're at.
Like I still am a huge fan of going to the draft and picking up as much as we can in the draft and filling out. If we draft a player that's a center, that's a rebounder, shooter, whatever, we have 2 years to fill in his spot until he's ready. Yeah. Like, you know, like to me, like that's what I would like to do, because I see this team and I see Jay Will, and he's like that wide Charles Barkley, you know, type body, and I just want him to see, you know, keep improving, because I do think that Jay Will be that for us. I just think that he needs more time to get that body more NBA ready, because let's be honest, like, you know, he's got an incredible body and it's just big, you know, but like he needs to be able to have a pounding for, you know, 30 minutes a game before he's ready. And I don't know if he's ready for a 30-minute pounding.
A lot of kids aren't ready for a 30-minute pounding at the beginning of games. You know what I mean? They come into the league, they're teenagers, and then they get real. There's that, Dave. Walker Kessler. How about Walker Kessler, dude?
Dude, I love Walker Kessler.
You can't get him. That's the thing about these guys.
Yeah, he's impossible. They're not trading Walker. He's the Lauri Markkanen of the future for that Jazz team.
Right. So. They're gonna wait until. So I mean, there's a lot of fun things, but the best thing is I like what you're saying, Darian and Dave. I dig what you're saying, which is basically like guys that are gonna be good fits on the court, off the court, young, right? And we can kind of lean into that.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's through the draft, but you know, you never know. And this is going to get more interesting. These picks make everything. What do they say? Aces are wild, or jacks are wild, jokers are wild, right? Watch the fuck out. Keep your head low. Keep your eyes up. Shit's going to get crazy out here, man.
This team is throwing bows, guys. Just watch them, enjoy it, because we've got 15 more games in January. We have 4 more back-to-backs. It's going to be fun. I mean, this is going to be a good time. We've got 3 or 4 more games out of the next 5 against the East. So we've got some more time to make up for that. So
head on a swivel, baby. We'll see you guys later.
Let's go.